Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the BB-Scho. As always, I'm your host, Beebs. I'm here with my co-host, Chen. As you guys can tell, I'm in a little bit of an impromptu setup here, home for the holidays, in between homes. So just moved out
Yes,
of my old
sir. Yes, sir.
place and moving into a new one at the start of the new year. So I'll be here for a couple weeks, but yeah, I'm down in the basement. No, I'm comfortable, guys. So don't worry, we'll be fine. But we're here to talk
Yeah.
football. So week 15, we got a lot to talk about, man. We really do.
Hmm.
I'll pass it to you. We can kick off Thursday night recap though. Niners Seahawks. Niners go into Seattle, get the dub. Um, yeah, what are your thoughts here?
Geez. So I'll tell you this. I'm glad I got my pick right. I don't know if it was on the show or before, but that Kittle call out was insane. I mean, if it wasn't brought up, I'll just do a quick recap of the fact this dude literally said since Debo Samuel has entered the league, if he's healthy, disregard. But when Debo Samuel is not on the field, if he's not playing, George Kittle goes for 50 yards or more. And not only did that ring true on Thursday night, he also had 2 touchdowns to add on to it. So it was nice that I played him, in one of my 4 leagues. I believe I'm in the playoffs in 3 of the 4. He locked up a victory in one of my leagues. I have almost 170. It was a 10-man standard. But in terms of just the 49ers overall, what they got going on, I don't think there's really anybody that stands in their way in terms of like Brock Purdy, what he provides to that offense,
I mean, look, the,
stability.
the, the
Like,
guy went 17 of 26 for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. How
yeah,
much better than Jimmy G is that? Like, he's not turning the ball
exactly.
over. He's not, you know, I'll ask you this question, and everybody's
Yeah.
talking about
Mhm.
it. If they go win the Super Bowl, what do you do?
Well, I am on the firm train that as good as Jimmy G was for the 49ers, they can, like we just talked, like, I mean, Brock Purdy is Mr. Irrelevant. Like, there is
In
many
my
suitable replacements for that role of just you have the world around you in terms of an elite running back, elite wide receiver one, an elite tight end, an amazing offensive line. I mean, Trent Williams is probably the best left tackle in football. And then you got statistically the best defense in football. So it's not hard to play quarterback down there. I understand you can't be bad or reckless. Like, I'm not saying, Baker Mayfield, we know will be bad, right? But Taylor Heineke, I don't think would fit in that offense in terms of, let's take that deep shot, go a little off script. I think it's those guys that honestly might be the later round finds, like the safe guys, the
Yeah, so
or Ghoul taking
I
five
think I think
yards.
we're in agreement that Jimmy G will not be the quarterback or on the roster next year.
No.
I think that's fair. For me, I guess the question, I don't really have an answer for myself, so I'm interested to see your take. What do you do if going on their
Trey
presumption that
Lance.
you going on the presumption you win the Super Bowl with Mr. Irrelevant? What do you do with Trey Lance?
And man, this might sound cold blooded, but I honestly one think it's how a lot of quarterback competition should be. I mean, we've seen the Mike White, Zach Wilson, like draft status. It's gonna start to level out year by year, just due to the fact of like parity, and we're starting to see some of the lower schools, like just media in general, is really leveling things out a bit. But it is tough to be like, yeah, this guy we drafted was literally the last pick of the entire draft is more efficient and better for our football team than a guy we traded up to get at number 3.
So you're
That you
saying you're saying that you think it'll be a QB competition in the fall.
it should be an open competition. It should
I
be
think that's the
Kyle
fair
Shanahan's
choice.
choice. Right. That's what it should be. But
And let's
do
be
we
honest,
think it's going to go that way? Do we think it's going to, like, if just right now,
I
do you
do.
think
I
going into
still
2023, who do you think is going to be the starting quarterback? I know that's early,
I
but would you
still
bet your
think
money
that
on Lance
Trey
or
Lance fits. He hasn't had a chance yet to show why
right?
he picked him. And everything I thought about him 3 years ago when he got drafted, about how Shanahan was looking to use the quarterback, the running ability and the play action, playmaking ability. And Lance was a raw prospect coming out of college, playing at a small school, very young when he was drafted. I believe he was
Right.
like 20, right? So
Yeah, he's like
it
22 right now.
everything
Yeah.
everything we still had that still stands because he hasn't given us a reason. Like he hasn't played enough for us to be like, oh, he's a bust. Like we don't know.
Right.
It's almost like he just got drafted this year. It's a very weird. And every time we've seen him, he hasn't been bad. I'm not saying he's been great, but he hasn't been
No, he's
atrocious.
been
And
horrendous.
so the
Like,
question I think that Shanahan would have to ask in this hypothetical scenario is whose ceiling is higher, right? Who has the
mm,
chance to elevate this team higher? Okay, so how much higher can you go than a Super Bowl? Well, you can win multiple Super Bowls, right? So is Brock Purdy going to be able to, he might be able to do it this year against a weak NFC, right? And they might be able to get it done and win it, right? That's great. But is Brock Purdy going to be able to elevate this offense? And I'm not saying he can't. We saw this Bledsoe and Brady, right? It's almost
right. Yeah.
it's somewhat identical, right? The question that needs to be asked though is who's the higher ceiling? I would lean towards Trey Lance. I'm extremely biased when it comes to that, but I would like to think that the rushing ability sets Trey apart. At least there's a chance that he's definitely going to get a chance to keep his job next year. If he
Oh,
loses it,
absolutely.
if he loses it in camp, then he loses it at camp. But dude, he's a third overall pick, right? Like, if we're really comparing Purdy to Jimmy Garoppolo, they already made their decision. You're just swapping names. Does that make
Mm,
sense? Like,
I have to agree with you. Yeah, it is more of a just, would you like to prolong the Jimmy G, train longer, which you could do with Brock Purdy by letting Jimmy G go. I mean, they're not gonna say the exact same quarterback in terms of tangibles, measurements, whatever, but in terms of what they provide your offense, the running ability is lacking. And when I look around the league, Justin Fields, great day
I mean,
again.
the question we have to ask is this when it comes to this situation, and do we have a Nick Foles situation or do we have a Tom
Mm,
Brady situation? You know,
Jeez, that's
right?
that's a very
And
good
we're
way to
running.
look at
This
it.
is
Yeah.
all running on the hypothetical that they win the Super Bowl this year. They could lose in the playoffs, and yeah, we're going with Trey
Right.
Lance, right? Like, no question about it. And maybe Brock Purdy earns a backup role from his play this year for the rest, of, the next 15 seasons, right? Maybe that's what this.
Mm-hmm.
But running on the hypothetical that they win the Super Bowl, is it Nick Foles or is it Tom Brady? And really, the thing I would lean towards is it's a little more Brady because Purdy is young. Foles was fairly old when that happened, and Wentz was the younger guy, right? And
Right.
so
That's the difference. Yeah.
Brady was the younger guy comparative to Bledsoe, and so there's a little bit of different variables there. But yeah, I don't have a side. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out because they're becoming my favorite for the NFC Championship. To represent them in the Super Bowl.
My final thought on the situation is if Lance is not a turnover machine, he'll get the job. I think that's really the only reason because if if we just run with the hypothetical of how the 49ers are going to the Super Bowl, it's going to be not making mistakes and their quarterback not throwing more than 30 times a game. I think Trey Lance is not only more capable of doing that without turning the ball over, but running as well.
Yeah,
So, like you said, if he loses his job in camp, the only reason he does that is because he is reckless with the football,
which
just inaccurate,
which he
bad
really
mistakes, which
hasn't. He hasn't been in the small snippets we've seen of him either.
exactly.
He's
That's why
been,
he got the job this year. You know what I mean? Like he's
yeah,
able to beat out ultimate game manager Jimmy G for that game manager role.
yeah.
So that's why I'm more with you in that. I know you say you don't have a side, but as long as Trey Lance, I think, doesn't mess things up when he comes back, that's
Which
the
is
guy
very
they should
interesting
roll that.
because
Like,
running on the hype. What do you do with Brock Purdy then? Do you
oh,
keep him
that's
as a
amazing
backup?
trade bait, man. I
Yeah,
think
but they've had that
you
before
really
with Jimmy
just,
Garoppolo and not done anything about it.
yeah, I know that gets kind of dicey, but it's more of comparative, like what value do you see? Because man, at the time, I mean, Trey Lance went down, Jimmy G came in, took the reins. I was like, well, it's kind of nice that we didn't trade this guy for a pick because we're still afloat.
Yeah,
But even now, if I'm seeing Jimmy G go down and Brock Purdy, it's like, well, maybe our system's just good. So maybe they unload.
yeah.
That's what I would think.
Maybe
I
every
would think that
position is just really good.
Yeah, and think about it. Jimmy G, I know he was a second round pick. They paid him a lot of money. Yeah, Brock Purdy's still on a rookie deal. He was Mr. Irrelevant. Any value you get from him is going to be more than what you spent. I mean, if we're being
Yeah,
honest, you
yeah.
spent the bare minimum besides him being undrafted. So I think if you get a third or a second out of that, you won. You won the trade
Yeah.
because like Brock Purdy
Well,
coming in was not even worth that.
yeah, unless
So
Brock Purdy
that's just
is,
my take.
the next whoever, next Brady, and he goes
Jeez,
he
man.
goes somewhere and dominates for 20 years. Then you lose the trade, but
Yeah, I'm
you
scared of
got a
October,
Kobe
man.
you got a Kobe
Brock
situation.
October is Brocktober. All right. If Brock Osweiler can go 4-0 with the Dolphins at the time, I'm pretty sure Brock Purdy can do something with the Niners or whoever he goes. But I guess we can flip kind of Seattle because we didn't really talk a whole lot about them. This is a team
Yeah.
that I feel like a lot of us thought were gonna be a higher seed, and I believe they're sitting at what 7-7 now.
Can I just be honest, man? They're
You're
getting cold.
off.
They're getting cold at the wrong time.
Bad. They're like the Titans of the NFC.
I don't think they're in. They still got to
I
play
think
the
you might miss.
Chiefs. They got to play the Chiefs and the Jets.
Yeah, I actually think they're gonna miss because their team revolves around that offense getting like 30 plus.
I'm telling
And
you
I
that,
think they're
and
gonna
I
get
said
outscored
this
by the
too.
Chiefs. The
That
Jets will shut them down.
Loss is going to be what keeps them out because and just looking back at their
Yeah.
schedule, they have a loss to the Raiders too. Just like this is a better team than 7-7. In my
Oh,
in my
absolutely.
opinion, and it's just weird that this is where we're at. But I'm sorry, I don't think they're getting in. You want to know who I think's getting in their spot? Detroit.
The Lions.
Yeah, Detroit is gonna get in. They are hot, and they've already proven that they can beat the Packers. That's who they got left. That's who. If the Packers
We
go
play
on
them
to win
again, right?
tonight,
We play them week
yeah,
18.
week 18. So
That
so
like actually
assuming,
might have playoff stipulation, which I didn't think would be the
yeah,
case.
yeah. So I mean, assuming the Packers can win out and get to that game, they got to beat the Vikings in that process. But and I think the Lions have to beat the Vikings as well. But um,
Oh.
I'm taking the Lions over the Packers. At this point.
Mm.
I'm not 100% the Lions have to play the Packers again, but to go back to
I believe
Seattle,
week 18 they do.
yeah, to go back to Seattle, we can, stay on topic. I think they're out. We talk so much all year when it comes to get hot at the right time, right? We talk about the
Yeah.
Bengals, all these teams, right? Get hot at the right time. They are getting cold at the wrong time.
Yep. Ice cold, man.
Same thing with Miami.
Mm. Oh,
I think
that hurts the soul. I love the Dolphins so much too.
they were
That's what
they've
sucks.
lost three straight. They were 8-3. They were 8-6.
Oh,
They still got to play the Jets. They play the Packers next
Packers.
week. They should handle that, but
Where is it?
it's in Miami, I believe. So that
Crap. Okay.
that's
Well,
that's yeah. If it was
that's
in Green Bay, that'd be a great point. But
I was about to say, yeah,
um,
it's it's different.
I think they should be able to handle the Packers. But I would have said the same thing. Let me figure out. I would have said the same thing about some of these other losses they've had the last 3 weeks. I would have said the same thing
Mhm.
about the Chargers.
Chargers have been very solid, though. I actually think they're starting to hit up at the right time.
Yeah, teams that are getting hot
And
at the right time. So,
yeah,
look, if you lose three straight and then you go lose to an inferior Packers team,
that's a wrap.
and they still got to go into
That
New
might be a
England in
wrap.
week. They got to go into New England in week 17. I think they're in. I mean, because the reality is they got to win. I think they got to win one of the next three to get in my opinion, to get to go in at 9-8. I think they get in at 9-8, and I think that they
You think
probably
Chargers
win.
wouldn't beat that tiebreaker? And
Uh,
the Ravens are going to get Lamar back. I like what you're going like in this direction, but I don't know if it's
I
as
think they
easy as
beat.
that.
I
Like
think
that's it. They'd
the
lose to the
reality is
Patriots.
that I think for sure they win one. I think they win two. That's they're going to beat the
Realistically,
Packers. I think they beat the Packers. If they lose to the Packers, then it's all hands on deck because you got two division games. But
right.
I think they can beat the Packers, and then they'll
Is it
beat
Pats Jets?
it's Pats
Is that
Jets, and the Jets are at home, and the Pats are in New England, which could be rough, but I,
right?
I think they're a better team than the Patriots, man. I mean,
Oh yeah, that better team for sure.
yeah.
It's just yeah, we can delve into that one
I'll
later.
say this too. Yeah. Oh, jeez. But let's
Oh
pivot to the
man,
Miami Buffalo game. Go a little bit out of order here because
sure,
I was actually very impressed with Miami in this game. I was,
agreed.
I thought the Bills were going to blow them out because of the weather. They lost by 3.
Yeah,
Uh, Tua was all right. He wasn't bad. He didn't turn the ball over. They ran for 136 yards. The reality is they missed their explosives, but they put up 29 points. Miami is starting to show what I thought they were at the start of the year, which is a very great offense and an
hmm
average defense. And it's looking like the defense is what's going to be to hold them back because there's just no way that Miami is going to be able to go into Buffalo or Kansas City in the playoffs and win.
yeah. Because I gotta be honest,
Or Cincinnati.
Dolphins putting up 29 was generous. Like in those conditions, that's not going to happen again, especially in the playoffs. Especially you play in Buffalo. The third time you see this team, you got to play them in Buffalo again.
Yeah.
I don't really like that. And like you mentioned, the other AFC front runners, uh, look, I love the Dolphins too. They're such a fun team to watch. And I think in the NFC they'd be raining havoc. But
It's a
just the
good
way the
point.
AFC, just the
Oh, that's a
way
good
this
point.
AFC is set up, they have a tough just schedule to go through. They're not going to get their division, so they're going to be on the road for the majority of it. And being a team from Miami, it's just tough. But I will give them this. I think if Mike McDaniel catches maybe Zach Taylor, didn't game plan for a certain thing. I don't think he's going to get the Bills or the Chiefs. Like Sean McDermott and Andy Reid are steady as they come. But I really do think
The
that,
Dolphins could beat the Chargers in the wild card. I know they just lost to them, but the
right,
Dolphins could beat the
they could take
Chargers.
out Chargers. I think they get lucky. They take out like the Ravens or the Bengals. But
I don't see the
uh
Bengals. I don't see the Bengals losing to anybody other than potentially Kansas City or Buffalo.
no, I don't really either. It's more of just what I saw in that first half, which we'll dive into later. But the Bengals still scored 34 unanswered. I mean, you're basically banking on them not scoring, like just having a really bad offensive day. So yeah, I just it sucks seeing a team that's so fun to watch in
Yeah.
terms of
Any
two of the fastest receivers.
any thoughts on Buffalo? I mean, to me, this is I just think it's funny how
Typical.
we talk all year about are they as good as we think they are? They're too reliant on Josh Allen. They're 11-3. They're doing they're beating good teams. They're gonna have home
Yeah.
field. It's looking like
I
it.
was never on that train. I always thought they were 1A and 1B with Kansas City.
Yeah,
Um, I just, yeah, that's kind of why it's like, what am I going to say about them? That, oh, they're really good. This is what we know.
yeah.
Unless you have anything to add. I think
No, they
it's
are who
like,
we thought they were.
yeah, like you
Super
go into
Bowl
the playoffs.
favorites.
Oh, they don't have a good running back. Well, part of that running game is Josh Allen, so they can still run the ball in the cold. Not worried
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. We can pivot.
Absolutely. We had two more Saturday
Two
games.
more Saturday games. Let's talk about the big one here. Let's talk about the greatest comeback in
Regular
NFL
season.
history.
And I guess regular. Yeah.
Look, man, this is. I'm extremely biased. Okay, but this is as a football fan. Number one, first thing that comes to mind. Very just sorry for Matt Ryan, man. I don't really know what to say at this point. This guy, can
He's
you
not
really
good at
blame him
football.
in either of these games? Uh, is it really his fault? Like the defense just
Yeah.
utterly falling apart, like in the play caller not running the football, right? Like Jonathan Taylor goes out and lose that ability, right? Like
But
I,
what does Matt Ryan do? Like it is the classic. What does he do? Like you pay
well,
him
yeah,
so much money.
I'm not saying
And
Matt Ryan is an incredible quarterback. What I'm trying to say is especially this one. You could argue more about the Super Bowl, but this one, he didn't really do anything wrong either throughout the process of his comeback. They would just come in, go 3-and-out, and then the defense would let them score really quick, and then it would on repeat. Where the Super Bowl, there was some more like questionable things, and I don't really need to get. I don't remember much of the details, but I don't think he turned the ball over. He might have. Did he fumble? I don't. He didn't throw a pick. I don't think he fumbled. Right.
No,
So
it was just pedestrian. Like he was trying to protect the lead, but when you're trying to protect the lead against one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL right
well,
now,
I mean, and the
it's
problem
tough
is
ask.
when you go down this road, I mean, his star running back was out. So it
Yeah.
makes it even harder. You're running with Zach Moss and Deion Jackson to try and protect this lead. And I'm not taking anything away from Minnesota. This is an awesome accomplishment. And it was heck of a game to watch. But I'm not going to sit here and say when you're winning 33-0 that it's the offense's fault that you lost 39-36.
Yeah.
Like
It's
I
it was just a collapse, man. And you'd think Jeff Saturday on Saturday would be OP, but I guess
he
for some
was
reason
he was man for
he
30
was
minutes.
OP for a half. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish it made sense. Because here's the logistics of it is like the Vikings now for the year like plus maybe 2 in point differential. And they're like 11
This
and 2
doesn't,
or like 12.
you know what, man? I'm just gonna say it. This doesn't change my opinion of the Vikings at all whatsoever. They're
Really?
still
Really?
not winning a playoff. I
Oh, okay. No, I thought you were gonna like boost them up more or anything. Like, no, I would concur
okay,
that
they're still.
this
I'll say
this
this: they're
team
not getting
is
out of the divisional round. They could win a wild card if they're not the number one seed, depending on who they get matched up with. If they play the Bucks, I could see them beating the Bucks or
yeah.
somebody
I
or
don't
the
think they
Saints.
represent the NFC. I
No,
think
they're
for
not. They're
sure they
not
go
getting
down
to
to the
the NFC.
conference championship.
They're not getting to. They're not getting to the NFC Championship.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that right now. They're not
Doubling
getting out of
down,
the.
yeah.
They're not getting out of the divisional round. And look, when it comes to the record, man, I'm extremely biased, man. And the real loser of this is Frank Reich because he just got royally screwed throughout this process.
Yeah.
The Colts fire him, and then they're the reason why he loses his record of the greatest comeback of all time against the
It's because Colts
Oilers
stink.
because the Colts stink, and it wasn't his fault. They just stink, and it's a poor roster. Shouldn't have been fired. I think we can all, maybe not all of
That's
us, but
brutal.
yeah, it, you know,
It's not
I'm just
cool,
gonna
man.
say this. I want to get this on the record too. As a football fan, shout out Minnesota. Records are meant
Oh
to be
yeah.
broken, all that stuff. It's really lame that the record used to be a playoff game, and you guys came back from 33 points against the 4-8 Colts.
Yeah.
Like,
Some crummy regular season team that
yeah,
yeah.
it's just like you were
It was
supposed
like
to win this game.
an
Like,
unnecessary flex. Is that like the
yeah,
right
yeah.
thing I'm
Like
going for? Is like,
you were favored by a mile to win this game,
yeah.
and you just made it look dramatic. um,
Yeah.
Look, the reality is, if you just showed me this score on Thursday and told me nothing about the game, I would look at it and say the exact same thing. Minnesota's defense is really freaking bad, man.
Yep. Yep.
They're
And
really
honestly,
bad.
the only reason I think they got bailed out and didn't give up a 50 burger is because Jonathan Taylor went down. As
He
hard
went
as that
down
is to hear
pretty
for
early.
Vikings.
He went down pretty
Exactly.
early. Well, I
Exactly.
mean,
I think if he's
he
there
didn't
that whole
boom
game,
rush.
there's probably a Jonathan Taylor touchdown drive esque,
That's
given the
fair.
amount of Colts possessions they got.
That's
I think they at
fair.
least get to 43.
Here's the reality too of this game is, I you know, and here I want to hear your take on this. This was almost a
Absolutely.
tie.
Oh, I
This
would have
was
been
almost a
pissed. If,
tie.
yeah, no, if a little
That's it.
Joseph there, if he didn't hit that one, I mean, we would have had a tie. The Colts would have had 2 ties.
Well, it's just
I don't
like
even know how you even
this
do
is.
that.
I think this is just enough evidence of a maybe that we need to get rid of ties, man. Like,
Oh,
put them in.
absolutely.
Come up with some sort of kickoff. Do the college rules, and by kickoff I mean
Oh,
like field goal kickoffs. Like keep backing them up until one guy misses, right? Then we'll
yeah.
really see how valuable Justin Tucker is, right? So, do the college rules, do something because this is it's dumb, man. Why do we have ties? This isn't soccer. This isn't
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that
This
up
isn't.
because soccer, soccer. Let me tell you, that championship, the France Argentina, we're gonna harp on it too much. It's soccer. It's how the show does. Amazing game, world
Did it go?
class, legends of the
It went to
sport.
PKs,
Went to
right?
PKs, right?
Yeah,
In
it's
extra
so
time. The
dramatic.
reason I watched that is because it couldn't end in a tie. You could never catch me watching any regular season soccer game because it can end in a tie, and most of the time it does. So
Yeah.
as an NFL fan, why are we even leaving that up to discussion? Why don't we have a cool thing like PKs? Yeah, the kickers stink a lot of time, crunch time. Give them 5 from like the 15. Or
And
we
look,
do a
I'm all
2-point battle,
for
like
the
2-point
tie
conversions.
too.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm all for the tie too because I think it's fun. Happens once a year, maybe once every 2 years, right? You get annoyed every
Messes
time
up
you
the
see that.
playoff
Yeah,
standings.
mess up.
Yeah.
It's chaos, right? I'm an age. I like chaos, but
Oh
this
yeah.
is something that if this game had ended in a tie, number one would have been the most Minnesota Vikings thing I've ever seen. If they had come all
Absolutely.
the way back just to tie. But number
Oh
two,
yeah.
memes aside, it would have just been lame. Like as a Packers fan, I
Yeah.
would have rather Minnesota won this game and made this
Yeah.
historic record than tie. It would have just been lame. So get rid of the
To
tie.
be tuned in for over 3.5 hours and the resolution is, yeah, nobody really won. I'm sorry. I think like
Yeah.
90% of viewers are like, why did we waste
And you know what's crazy
the
too?
afternoon portion of our Saturday?
You know
No,
what's
yeah, what's
crazy
up?
about this too is Indy was pretty close to getting a field goal. They were like a first down away from like solid field goal
Oh
range to
yeah,
win the game
Matt
in
Ryan not
overtime.
selling away from.
I mean, yeah, I don't know why I even like bought into that, but there was a moment where I was like, imagine if they come all this way to force overtime and then the Colts
Oh,
still win. Like it
that would
would
have
have
been pretty poetic. I'm not gonna
been.
lie. They like come
um,
back from the worst, like biggest comeback ever, and then still lose. Would have been spectacular in typical Vikings. Um, but we had one last. I want to say last game. There's a reason we're saving it for last. Was that Browns Ravens stinker
I
in the
didn't
middle of
even.
these two
I
games?
actually didn't even watch this game. So
Yeah, I don't really blame you, man. And I think by halftime I was kind of tuned out because uh, listen, how many the Ravens I think are what 9-5, but the amount of times I see them scoring like single digits lately,
well,
I
Lamar's been
understand
out.
Lamar is gone. I
Let's
understand he's gone, but it is lining up because yeah, that is not that's excusable, right? That's nothing new. But it's lining up like every year. The Ravens going to the playoffs, pretty good record, pretty good regular season team.
cold at the wrong
And
time.
yeah, well, they go cold and teams just key on Lamar. And when they just key on Lamar, no one else gets going, especially in the playoffs. And they get bounced like 17-10, 13-3. Like they don't have any offensive momentum in the playoffs. It's going to continue this year. I think, like you mentioned, like the Chargers could knock this team off. Patriots, Dolphins, like I think the Ravens actually are probably like the first out. I'll call it right now. I don't care where they seed in the playoffs. I think they're going to go down right away. I just don't love the fact that your offense quite literally hinges on one guy.
I don't know. I disagree with that. I think Lamar is good enough to beat the Patriots. He could
We
outduel
say
Herbert and
that,
win that
man.
game.
We say that. I think he could outduel Herb. I could think he'd outduel Mac
I
Jones.
don't think they're completely incapable of winning a playoff game. That's what I'm going to say here. And I don't think they're completely incapable of winning two, depending on who they play. If they play the Titans in the divisional round or something stupid,
I'd like to
like
believe so, man. I
I
would love
think
to
they're a
believe
top.
so.
I, I don't know, man. I think
Think about it.
It goes Bills, Chiefs, Bengals, and then it's wide open, and the Ravens are right at the top of wide open.
Do you love Mike Vrabel and his defense? That yeah, they struggle against the pass, but
No, the Ravens
his
are better
defense
than the
against
Titans. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, as a
I
team they
think the
are better than
Ravens
the
are the
Titans.
fourth or fifth best team in the AFC.
But do you love the playoff matchup of playing against Mike Vrabel, that defense, that team that doesn't
Dude,
make
you
a
want to
lot
talk
of
about the Titans?
mistakes?
Can we talk about the Titans? Because they freaking suck. So,
They've
you
been
want to talk
very
about
bad.
me being
They have
low
been
on a
very
team? I
bad.
don't think the Titans are going to be in the playoffs. So,
Mm.
I said it 2 weeks ago. I said, watch out. Jaguars could
Who's
make a
getting
move
that?
here.
Oh wow, yeah, we're bringing the Jaguars back up. Oh
They
boy,
just they just did.
they did knock off the Cowboys,
They
but what
knocked
are
off
they?
the
Are they
Cowboys.
6-8?
All right, let me. They're. I think they're.
That's my only problem is I love the Jaguars, but even the beginning of that game, I checked in. I was like, ah,
They're
crap, my
one
pick
game
is
back.
shot.
They're one game back.
Right, which is cool, but again, they probably have some division games to close. Am I counting on the Jags being clutch or Mike Vrabel? I'm gonna lean with Titans. I understand where you're
I'm
coming from.
leaning Jags,
Absolutely.
man. They've done that multiple
All
times
right.
this year.
All right. All
They're
right. No, no,
doing.
no.
They are
We
taking
can
that
agree to
step,
disagree.
and Trevor Lawrence has absolutely taken that step, and maybe even another one. And you can't deny that. From that Davis Mills discussion we had a couple weeks ago, he's been on fire.
Yeah, I totally heard that. But like in terms of the Cowboys, like they lost on a pick six, right? So that isn't a beneficiary of Trevor
Classic
Lawrence per
Cowboys.
se.
I picked the
Yeah.
Cowboys, and I saw that happen, and I was like, that was worth the loss. That was funny. Like,
Oh, totally worth. But you gotta understand, like there was a real part of me, like when I checked the score, I believe it was like in the second quarter, and the
okay.
Cowboys were up big. I was like, wow, this is typical Jags. I'm not ruling this team out because we just saw it. Like they can
They
go
do
toe to
play.
toe with
They play the
anybody.
Titans
They
in Week
can.
18.
Right. That honestly is probably gonna decide the division. I mean, if we're just being
Well, they got to
logistic
play. The
here.
Jaguars go Jets on Thursday night, so Thursday makes things different. I think.
Sort of depends who's at home.
And
Yeah.
we can talk about the Jets because it is in New York, but the Jets are cold too. So, but if Mike
Yep.
White's there, I think they're fine. Then they play the Texans, and then the Titans.
So layup in theory.
So
yeah.
they
Okay.
if they win two of these games, they get to what are they 6-8? They get to
That's
8
what I
and
mean.
9,
If they can get to a 9-8, that's better than the
and they
Titans.
need
I
they
think the
need the
Titans
Titans
finish
to
about
lose.
500.
Titans are
I
7 and
really
7. The Titans play the Texans this week, so they should win. But then they play the Cowboys,
okay, and then the
who
Jags.
have the formula to beat the Titans, and then the Jags.
Man.
So it's really going to come down to they're both going to get wins against the Texans, and if the Jaguars can beat the Jets, they're all square going into Week 18.
Right. That's a great storyline to follow. Because regardless, whoever wins that division, the other will not make playoffs. There's no way
Oh,
they
no
get one of those
chance.
wild card
No,
spots.
no,
So
no chance.
that like is quite literally going to be for that playoff spot.
Unless they all,
I'm excited.
Yeah, because they can't. They can't. All three of them, both of them can't win out. Is what I'm trying to say because they play each other.
Yeah, there's no way.
So
no way.
Mathematically, it's impossible. But all right, so we talked. We did mention. We'll talk. Well, I'm skipping over Ravens Browns. I have nothing else to say.
Yeah, that's dud.
Well, we can skip to Cowboys Jaguars. I mean, what's your? Does this change anything? The Cowboys clinched despite losing. They clinched their playoff spot because the Commanders lost and somebody else lost.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I think the Cowboys just need to iron some things out in terms of like Dak. It's just had some costly turnovers, man. I know it sounds like a cop out.
They're
but
all
like,
so, and he doesn't play bad either.
No, it's just the only
It's
reason they
just so
lose is like he does like a
poorly
silly
timed.
turnover. Yeah, and it's like you don't need it. You have 34 points as a team. Like, and again, that defense is normally solid. I just think the Jags gave him a surprise. Like we mentioned, Trevor Lawrence has definitely been better in this back half of the season. I'm not worried about the Cowboys. I know a lot of people are going to love to harp on this, be like, typical Cowboys. Yeah, most of the time I would be in on that too. And I don't think they're going to go super far in the NFC, just given they're the Cowboys. But I think they are probably realistically, there's no way they don't make it to the divisional. I wouldn't be shocked if the conference championship is like Philly Cowboys, Philly Vikings. I don't see Philly not being there. But I also
I
don't
think the
that
Cowboys beat the
there's
Vikings.
not a whole lot teams better than the Cowboys in the NFC right now.
There's not a whole lot of good teams in the NFC period. So
exactly. So like just from that aspect, it's like, well, yeah, it sucks to see the loss, but it's not like it was to the Texans. I think if they actually lost that Texans game and then this game, I'd be having a different conversation. But they're finding ways to win, just like the Vikings do, just like the Chiefs, like good teams do. So
yeah,
I don't really have a whole lot to say.
I don't have a lot to add. I mean, the ill-timed turnovers just to me, they're not going to win. They're not going to go to the Super Bowl. That's kind of what I'm saying.
They're one of the between them teams. And the Niners.
Yeah,
like the Niners don't have that. They don't have those bad turnovers.
Yeah. All right, we can pivot. Eagles Bears. You actually picked the Bears in this game, and
It
know,
was
what
close.
happened
It
is
was
exactly what you said.
close.
What happened is exactly what you said would happen. You said, I'm going to pick the Bears. They've had a lot of close games, played a lot of teams tight, and I think that they finally get one. And that's exactly what happened. So I think Hurts is injured. We'll talk more about that on Thursday. We'll have a better idea. But Jalen
Yeah.
Hurts, 3 rushing touchdowns. It's just the Bears at this point in the season are more incentivized to lose than they are to win.
Oh, absolutely.
I honestly think that may have been the difference here.
I will say that, and I will say this because I talk about work all the time. I got a coworker that's a Bears fan. Since they've traded Roquan Smith,
They've been better.
every week when I come in on Monday, yeah, they've been really good, yeah, for sure. But it's that defense, one more stop. And after a while, it's like, yeah, shut up. But also, and love Pat. I mean, first of all, I tell him shut up. That guy. I mean, we're great coworkers. He helps me day to day. I'm not gonna knock him. But second thing, he's not wrong, right? Like one
No,
more
he's not.
stop, one more drive. The Bears, when they're putting up 28-35, like they're close. They're like a piece away. And when you got a second-year quarterback that's running around for his life with basically no weapons, I mean, the trade for Chase Claypool for
Done
what?
nothing. Yeah, he's
Done
done
nothing. You
nothing.
burned a second-round pick. Yeah, I would have to say that if Roquan Smith was still on this team, they'd probably be looking at the Bears right now, or the Lions. They'd be 7-7.
No, he's not
They would have 2 or 3 more wins. They're
2
a
or
drive or
3.
two away.
But
Like I really am curious as to
they're
how this
better
team looks
off.
next
They're
year.
better off. I still agree with the vision of trading Roquan because they weren't going to want to pay him, so they got
No, they're
something
better
out of
off
him.
long term. They
And
are,
they knew
but
this
it's
wasn't the
just
year. You're not going to contend for a Super Bowl this year or next, probably. So, uh,
right.
they got what they wanted. Fields took a massive step this year, and they're still going to have a good pick.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and right, like in terms of longevity, like the future, the plan, it helps.
yeah,
But I see what he's saying. Like the Bears this year have been a lot closer, and they've not like they're second in terms of the draft selection. They do not speak to me as the second worst team in the NFL. I know they're probably in the conversation. I know they're in that bottom tier. I'm
no,
not
they're
saying
not
they're
the
good,
second worst team in
but
the
the
NFL is
fact,
the Green Bay Packers.
come on, I mean, we beat this team.
I'm
Like,
kidding. I'm
but with the
kidding.
Bears, like they are not that bad. The Bears are not that bad, and the
I
fact
don't
they
know
got
who
over
would you
$100
say the
million
second
dollars,
worst team in the NFL is.
it's great conversation. It's great conversation. I would look towards the NFC South, but even if I look at the record, it's like,
I might say Carolina.
ah.
I don't know.
But
I
then we
might go.
say that, but it's like I think they sneak by these
I
wins.
think it's
It's the
Chicago,
Bears.
man. I don't know if there's much
I
debate
think
for
I like the
anybody
Bears
else.
more than the Broncos. I think if they played
Oh
each
yeah,
other,
yeah. I'll give you that.
I
Or the
think if they
Cardinals. The
played
Cardinals are really
the
bad.
Cardinals, especially now, are definitely worse than the Bears.
Yeah. The
There's some
Rams
teams
are
in the
pretty bad.
conversation. Yeah, holy cow, that team's bad.
All right, all
There's
right,
just a
all right,
lot,
all right.
right? So we can get some names in there, but nonetheless, that Bears roster is going to be completely overhauled going into next season.
All right.
I'm curious as to what it looks like, and yeah, I don't have a lot to say.
We
Talked
can
way
pivot.
more about the Bears than we should be. Yeah,
Yeah,
jeez.
yeah, yeah. All right. I have a story for you. So 3 weeks
Okay.
ago, the New York Jets were 7-4, right in the hunt for the division, keeping pace with the Bills, playing them tight, beat them once,
Mm.
looking really good, AFC favorites.
Mm.
Then they lost 3 in a row and just lost to the Detroit Lions, who started 1-6 and are now 500 at 7-7. You want
Mm.
to talk about getting hot at the right time and getting cold at the right time or the wrong time? There is
Yep.
no better game to look at than this right here. I'm going to say it. I don't know if the Jets are in. I'm taking the Dolphins over the Jets to sneak into that spot. You know,
Yeah. It's a
look, it
tough thing to
depends on
say.
Mike White coming back, but the Jets. This is Monday. I know it's early. The Jets play the Jaguars this week. I am picking the Jaguars. I don't care. I am
Mm.
picking the hot team, and I'll probably live to regret that. But look, we'll start with the Jets, and you can give your thoughts. But I am really low on them right now, man. I'm just Mike White goes to 10 different doctors to try and get cleared, can't play.
Yeah,
Are they that much better? With Zach, they're obviously worse with Zach Wilson. I would have started Flacco, honestly. Um,
for
and then what
sure.
do? They play the Lions tight, lose by 3. And it's just like, I just feel like they're running out of gas at the wrong time. You know,
Yeah, no, that's a very good way to put it.
the loss to the
They're
Bills
running out of
last week,
tricks.
lost to the
Uh,
Vikings all by 1 possession. And it's like, man, they're a really good
yeah.
team. But now they got to play the Jaguars, who are red hot on Thursday night. Maybe I'll change my mind by Thursday, but I'm probably picking the Jaguars to win that game. And they got to play the Seahawks in Seattle. That's going to be a tough ask for a team that's just on the playoff bubble. And then they got to play
Right.
Miami in week 18. That could be 3 losses.
Right. And even let's say we get one.
You get
They get
one.
one. They're sitting at 8-9.
It's
That's
not
not good
enough.
enough for a wild card. Even at 9-8, you're still kind of playing the numbers game. Yeah, I'd have to agree that they lost a lot this past 3 weeks. Lost some games they just could not have lost. And I know we talk about the Lions a lot on this show.
Dude, the
They
Lions,
could not have lost that game. And now it's like flipped to the point where the Lions are in the Jets' shoes in the sense that they can't really lose a whole lot more games.
I'm
Like they
pretty
could
sure
maybe lose one if they got really lucky. But if
the
they kind of win
Lions, that
out
is,
here, yeah, like they finish at nine and
they
eight, they
play.
might get that seventh. But
Here's
at
their
10-7,
last
I
3.
think they're in
Their last 3 is Carolina,
8-7,
Chicago, and
nine
Green
and
Bay.
seven. Right, and
And
that's
I'm telling you right now,
boy.
if Green Bay is out, if they lose one, I don't even know if Rodgers plays week 18.
Right, and so they're chilling at 10-7, and they're golden.
Yeah.
So it was really this win by the Lions kind of turned the tides of like seasons, like for both teams. Like the Jets now might or may not get in, where I was a week or so
I
ago,
was
like, yeah,
sold
this whole
on the
division is going to go
Jets.
in. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
this is great defense. They're built for the
Now,
playoffs.
now I don't know if
Should be
anybody's
good,
making it besides the Bills.
which is just bizarre. But no, kudos to the Lions. I mean, they were 1-6 to start this
Oh,
season.
dude, who doesn't
They
love the
are
Lions, man?
6-1.
I
That
might be
is an
rooting for them in week
incredible
18.
turnaround.
I
Yeah,
literally
no,
might be rooting for them.
they're the people's chant, man. I mean, America's team, the Cowboys. No, it's
No,
Detroit.
it's the
It's
Detroit
Motor
Lions.
City. All right, like we love Dan Campbell, we love Jared Goff, Renaissance. I love it. Well, again, we're
And
gonna
here's
have
the
to see.
weird part about the
There's
Lions.
such
I'm not going to say
oh,
anything outlandish here, but the crazy part about the Lions is I I think they can compete with any team in the NFC.
I mean, they compete with the Bills on Thanksgiving. Doesn't get much,
Yeah,
more prime time than
they can
that.
compete with Minnesota for sure, right?
Yeah,
Minnesota for
beat them.
sure. Philly, okay, that's probably a step up. I don't
Yeah,
think they win against
they'll give them
Philly,
problems. I
but
think they give any team problems. I really
look,
do.
the Lions are not going to the Super Bowl, but they might win a playoff game.
Maybe two.
You know,
They get lucky, maybe two.
get to the NFC Championship year 2. Dan Campbell, oh my,
Yeah.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, but just want it
Oh,
to be said, putting it on the record.
yeah.
All right, I
Big
don't have
deal.
much to say. I picked the Steelers to win against the Panthers. You picked the Panthers. This was a toss-up game, and it was decided by 1 score. Um,
Yeah.
Darnold doesn't
Both
look
teams.
bad.
No, but both teams are just kind of in the same spot of like, do you want either of these teams in the playoffs? You're a fan of them? I don't think so. Try and get the best pick you can. Settle for next
Um,
year.
so the
What are the
Steelers,
Panthers going to do? Even if they win that division, what do they do even with a home playoff game?
yeah, that's pretty
Tough,
that's pretty
tough
fair,
ass. And
man.
Steelers with either Trubisky or a rookie quarterback, I would just personally, as a
No,
fan, love to see it
yeah,
next year.
yeah. I don't have much to say here. This game, we're at that point in the year where certain games just don't matter, and this was
Oh,
one of them.
yeah. We're going to get more and more, especially towards 17,
Um,
18.
yeah. Chiefs Texans. I really don't have much to add here, other than
Closer than anticipated.
the Texans keep doing this. They keep surprising
Yeah.
teams, and then I think they realize in the middle of the game they're like, "Oh,
We shouldn't
We
win.
actually want to lose this game. So
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
pull it back. I
My,
will
my
say
my
this.
only no, yeah.
I will
Go
say
ahead.
this. Fantasy Frenzy, I think I mentioned it. I was considering between Miles Sanders and Jerick McKinnon. And in one of my other leagues where I'm fighting to not get dead last, I did pick up Jerick McKinnon and start him and got 34 points out of him. So I'm pretty hyped
Great
about
call.
Jerick freaking McKinnon.
Great call. Yeah.
I'm pretty hyped.
Man,
So
who
yeah.
he played for, legend. Yeah, no. Really, the last thing I touched on is Lovey Smith. I was under the impression that this dude can't coach, shouldn't be in the league, yada yada yada. I don't think he's a head coach. He should be a coordinator somewhere though. The
Yeah,
fact
I've
that
never
Texans
understood the
are
hate.
with
I've never understood
like
it.
within the well, he's a Bears head coach for a long time. I mean,
He
come on.
was good with the
And
Bears. That's the last time the Bears were good. That's what I never
oh yeah,
understood.
but then they step down to college and be crap. I mean, I'm starting to realize that
There's a lot of guys
there's
that
a
do
lot of
that.
factors and yeah, differences, but I think he's definitely at least earned himself a coordinator spot with someone.
I
I love
look,
having him as D coordinator for the
didn't the Bears
Packers.
fire him after a 10-win season?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure
That's
Detroit actually did the same thing with Jim Caldwell, which I haven't heard from him either. But
yeah.
there's just some questionable decisions in terms of the coaching carousel, but that's all right. The typical, result.
Yeah.
Mahomes puts on the cape and they get it done.
Yeah. That's about all I have to add there. Falcons Saints. So this matters, but I think the Saints winning this game to me just only furthers Tampa's chances of getting in and winning this division. I'm going to be honest. I don't.
If the Saints and Buccaneers play in a close game at the end of the season, I think it'll
They
be
already played.
entertaining.
They played last week. They're done. They don't
Both
play.
times though.
Yeah,
They don't
they
play any.
the
Yeah,
Bucks.
see.
The Bucks beat them last week, and they beat them twice.
Okay. So the Buccaneers pretty much have this division, even if they lose a game or two. The rest of the
Yeah,
division is just so bad. I mean,
and the
it's
Saints still
hard
got
to
to play the
say.
Eagles. So
Yeah. Good luck. Good
they do
luck.
play
But
Browns and Panthers the other two. So if the Bucks really,
they would have to quite literally go 6-11. And if Tom Brady manages to do that, I would be shocked.
the Bucks' final three games are the Cardinals, Panthers, and Falcons.
Okay. Well, that's setting up for is Tom Brady gonna make a run because they win their next three? But all right. No,
Yeah,
I don't have a lot to add to this. This is one of those like dud games. If you want more commentary from us, I mean, maybe live in Louisiana. I don't know. This is one of our home teams. Like, I don't have a whole
you
lot to
want to talk
say.
about dud games? We both did pick the Broncos to beat the Poverty Cardinals. So I think that's the first time I've hit on a Broncos win all year. So
I
it
still
was
am
nice.
shocked that actually panned out.
Yeah,
And
I
actually
kind of am
Brett
too.
Rippin was ripping it, man. I mean, he
Okay,
wasn't
let's
that
pump the
bad.
brakes,
He
man.
wasn't that bad. I think I'd like him over Russ's
Well, I didn't
ramen
say. I
noodle
mean, I would
cooking.
take anybody for us. So
Exactly.
at least I'm
Let him
getting.
rip,
At least
man.
I'm eating dinner when he's cooking it for me. So we're not burning the turkey. But all right, let's
Fair.
keep it rolling. Let's talk about a game that we're probably going to be seeing the end of for the next 20 years, man.
Oh no. Is this
Jacoby
the
Myers
Oh
with the
no.
blunder of all blunders, man.
What was the point?
I
Were you gonna have Mac Jones house it for 60 yards? What
look,
was
man. Uh,
Oh,
I gotta
and the
be
fact there was no
honest.
lateral in the play, he came out after in the interview and said, "Yeah, there was no lateral play. I was just trying to make something happen." And like, I felt bad for the guy because he was like trying to hold himself together, explaining it. But like, I just got to know, like, what do you have to say to this? I still am at a loss for words. It's been like a day or two.
Yeah, he's probably gonna get cut.
I have Jacoby Myers on two teams. I'm not playing him in any of my fantasy. Like, he's done. He's done because Belichick saw that
I
crap. I can't roster him.
That's what's sad about That's the really the sad part about
Such a
this.
bad situation. Like, you can't
Is
do that with Belichick as your coach. You just can't.
look, I don't. This is the crazy part about the Patriots is that's what they're so good at not doing.
Right. They never make mistakes like that.
Yeah, and they are
Well,
now.
besides playing Gronk at safety in
That's
2018.
what I was
But
about to say. They now have two in the last like 10 years of the only time that multiple lateral plays end up ending the game. They're on the
actually
losing end
work, yeah.
of both of those, and one of the times they were lateral. Look,
Yeah.
man. Stevenson came out after the game and he said, I just lateraled it because I saw him there and it was easy. And I think that just messed with Jacoby Meyer's head. And he was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna chuck it," and we're trying to score on this
I
play.
guess.
And look, uh, hindsight's 2020, right? Mac Jones could have made that
Always.
tackle. I think Mac Jones is getting the thin end of the stick here. I mean, he had him dead to rights and got absolutely dribbled, man. I'm just being
Yes,
honest here.
yeah, it
We're
was
not giving
pretty
him enough
poor.
slack or flack because
Please take the
he's just
guy's
like
knee out.
standing
Like,
there, like he doesn't make an effort or lunge. He just takes the freaking dribble to the face. And it's like,
yeah.
dude, you could have made this tackle and we wouldn't be talking about this at all. So,
Yeah.
and of course the Raiders, man,
Typical.
just typical
They
Raiders.
weren't going to lose by
We're gonna be
Josh
one in
McDaniels out
seven.
coaching.
We're gonna be 1-7, and then find a way to win every game except one, and then miss the playoffs. We're gonna
They're going to
lose to
finish
Baker.
8-9.
We're gonna miss. We're
Yeah.
gonna lose to Baker Mayfield in prime time on a 98-yard winning drive to miss the playoffs. Look, the Raiders still have to play the Niners and the Chiefs in week 17 and 18. I'm looking at the schedule. They do play the Steelers next week, but good luck, man. Good luck with
Yeah.
that. Unless you catch
That's
the
tough,
Chiefs,
man.
not trying. But yeah, that ain't gonna happen because they're trying to catch Buffalo. So I don't have much to add. I, Look, Chandler Jones just got gifted like the greatest Christmas present anybody could ever
Oh, yeah.
ask for.
Against
Like
his former team, too.
he's yeah, and he's going to be on replays for the rest of his life, and
For
he's gonna,
years.
that's gonna be the play that everybody remembers. And it's just like, you talk about the immaculate reception, and even the Bills come back. We talked about that, and the Music City Miracle, all these freakish things that happen.
Yeah.
Playoff games, and this is just kind of like, I don't know if either of these teams are making the playoffs at this point. So there's a level to it where it's like,
No.
oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to get added to that YouTube montage, but
Mhm.
I don't know if this really matters, man. The Patriots season ended probably with this play. I think they had a chance to get in, and maybe they do get in, and Jacoby Myers, is saved by the bell, right? But
Maybe, yeah. They got a long way to go, though. That's for sure.
yeah,
That did not help them out.
but we got to keep it moving. Bengals Bucks. So we both picked the Bengals to win this game. They scored 34 unanswered, or not 34 unanswered, but actually, I think they did. I think it was 17-0, and it was 34-17. The Bucks got 2 field goals in the fourth. But look, the Bucks actually looked really good in this first half, and then
just died. Typical Bucks, they're just not their team. The defense just lacks consistency, a lot of busted plays. And this is what we're known with the Bengals. Like, they just get hot, even if it's halfway through a game, and then they rip off 34 like unanswered. Like, that's why they're so dangerous as a playoff team. That's why
I think they're better.
Division.
I think they're better than they were last year. I'm just going to say it. I think that they are.
I think so
than they were
too.
last year. I think that
Joe.
Joe Burrow is a better quarterback than he was 1 year ago. I think that there are some flukish things about that playoff run last year that really immortalized Joe and took him to. We didn't think he was this top 5 quarterback before that happened, right? Nobody, he was an up and coming young guy, but he
Now
has
pretty solidified.
that. This is no longer, chuck it to Jamar Chase, right, and hope for the best, which took them to the Super Bowl. Now it's Jamar Chase has 7 catches. Tyler Boyd has 5. They're running the ball top. T. Higgins has 5. Joe Mixon has 5, right? And they're top 3 rushing attack over the last X amount of weeks or whatever it is. Top 1, I'm pretty sure. And Burrow throws for 200 yards, and they blow this team out of the water.
Yeah, it was tough second half for Brady and the boys.
And look, they have a good defense, man. I really do. They have a good secondary. Jesse Bates is elevating again.
They really good.
I can't think of that other guy's
keeps
name.
Him alive. There's him and Von Bell have been solid as safeties, but
people talk about the what is it, 7 straight wins now. I'm pretty sure we forget they were 0-2, and we were sitting here talking like, man, 92% of the teams that start 0-2 don't make the playoffs.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a tough road.
Never.
The Bengals they're gonna win the division. I felt so confident too at that time about my Baltimore pick, and
Oh yeah, I know. It was completely
they've won
different
six
world.
straight. They've won six straight. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's I
Joe
don't
Burrow,
I,
man. What are you
I
gonna
I'm
say?
he might be back, man. He might go back. They do got to play the Bills in Week 17.
That's gonna be a great
So
game. Can't
that's
wait to
gonna be
predict that
yeah.
one.
Yeah, they got the Patriots next week, so that's a blowout. The Patriots are
Yeah,
dead, man.
should be.
I really do think the Patriots are dead. I do want to see though. The Patriots are at 7-7. They play the Bengals, Dolphins, and Bills. So I don't know if they were getting in, man. If they got to nine and
Tough,
or eight
tough
and
schedule.
six, pick one of those off. Maybe you get to 9-7. I don't know if they're getting in, man. So
No, wouldn't be a
um,
favorite pick either.
yeah. All right, we got a couple games left. One more or two more, sorry, that I really want to talk about. But Titans Chargers, man. I had the Titans with the Chargers. And I don't know what I was doing, man. Why am I picking the Titans? They're bad.
It was close. It was
I'm
close.
they're,
3 point
they're
game.
they're bad, man.
Yeah.
They're not. They're just getting cold at the wrong time. They miss AJ Brown so much. I'll say this: when Traylon Burks is on the field, they are such a better team. They really
Absolutely.
are. When their first round pick is actually on the field, they're such a good team. And he is that outside threat. He's been hurt so much this year that
Yeah.
it's just not it,
Seems
man.
uninspiring. When I look at the Titans, it's like, geez, you're hoping Derrick Henry has a good day. Otherwise, they lose. Like the
Yeah.
defense can hold and check for a certain amount, but when you don't have anything to go downfield, like nobody on that roster besides Traylon Burks can do anything. So I'm nervous about Tennessee. I understand the name of the game isn't throwing in the playoffs, but you got to have at least the threat, man. I mean, good grief. Derrick Henry is probably going to get hurt. I don't wish injury on anybody, I mean, knock on wood, but it, it's at this rate. He's in that, him and Saquon, I think, are going to be the most overworked guys at the end of the season. And it could have been solved with quite literally one guy on the outside, and AJ Brown. The
Yeah.
Giants, I don't know who that would be for them. I mean, maybe Galladay not being garbage, but
Yeah,
they need somebody.
they gotta find
Um, yeah,
um,
you can't
which
win
is,
like that.
which is why I've said all year, I just don't think the Giants roster is there yet. I think they're
No,
still a couple pieces away when they're ahead of schedule. But the Chargers, they might do it, man. Here's their
good
next
win for
three.
them.
Their next three is they're 8-6. Their next three is the Colts, Rams, and Broncos. I could see them winning all those
That's
games.
yeah. I mean, at least two.
But
They
knowing the
they
Chargers, they're going to lose one of these games. One of the first two, and then they're going to
oh,
be
okay.
have to beat the Broncos to get in.
If they miss playoffs this year, Brandon Staley needs to go.
He
There is
needs to
no
go,
reason
even
if
if they
they.
make the playoffs. He needs to
Oh,
go.
hey, you don't have to tell me. I think this guy should be gone
But the
long time
reality is,
ago.
they've beaten the Dolphins and the Titans the last couple of weeks, two up their
Mm-hmm.
AFC teams. But I think that
Right.
they're, as we talk about the Titans and the Giants, it's missing that one piece. I think the Chargers they need another weapon, a superstar weapon away from being a Super Bowl contender, right? They're a fringe playoff team
Perhaps.
right
Yeah.
now. And I think that they are a top 7 receiver away from being a Super
Yeah.
Bowl contender. If they
Hey,
had
maybe that's
T.
Mike Williams
Higgins,
just overperforming. Maybe that's Mike Williams performing at T. Higgins level while Keenan Allen's consistent and you got Joshua Palmer in your slot. Like
I don't think,
I
but what I'm saying, I've said this before, I don't think those guys are it. I'm not a
I
fan
don't think they're
of them.
it.
You need a
It's
guy that you can go to and he's the guy, and Mike Williams is
right.
50-50 jump ball, but he's not going to create separation, right? And Keenan Allen is
Yeah.
that guy, but I think he might have lost a step and he's never healthy.
Oh, for
So
sure.
now you're at this situation where, yeah, they're getting hot. The team's finally healthy, and you can see what they look like when they do have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, which is a pretty good offense. But
Yeah.
I don't see the long term vision here with Herbert on a rookie contract that's pretty close to being done, and you not really having much around him. You have a great defense, and you have a great running back, halfway decent O line, middle of the pack, and I think that you're missing that guy on the outside to take you to the Super Bowl.
No doubt. They need that extra gear, that like speed, that guy
Yeah,
that's gonna break apart offense or
maybe they make a move for
defenses.
like Jalen Waddle or something. Maybe he gets disgruntled
That
as the number two
the
option.
If Dolphins want to move that, I think that'd be a very poor call. I'm a
Yeah,
huge fan of Jalen
no,
Waddle,
I
but
I,
no, you
I
got a
agree.
point. These
But
receivers, you don't know where their heads are at. That's
yeah, all right, let's
being
talk
okay.
Sunday night, man. Because I'm gonna be honest, this was the fishiest ending I've seen in a while.
Oh yeah, last game, saving it for last. But wow, the McLaurin thing with the refs
So
was
garbage. He literally looked
ridiculous.
at him, and I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah,
You don't call that in that scenario.
no, you don't. And
Go
the replay
watch
made it
film,
worse.
man. Go watch NFL film. It's not like high school
Yeah,
football where the refs are like super anal about being on the line and stuff. Those guys are
yeah,
never actually on the line of scrimmage, and they don't care.
no,
That
no,
never gets called. It
no. And in
never gets
fact,
called.
he did that little, hey, am I good? The ref didn't say anything, but he gave a voice, probably like maybe move up, do this.
He does
McLaurin
move
made a little
up. He
adjustment,
does move
right?
up.
And the ref still, McLaurin checks back, does the good, all good.
No, the
And then
ref. I'm
after that,
pretty
the
sure
ref
the
is
ref.
reaching in his pocket. He is like tugging at the
Yeah,
flag. And
before.
that's for me, I'm like, oh boy. Because then on top of that, a couple plays later on fourth down, there was the missed PI. And people were like,
Oh,
well, it was jug. You can't not call that when I've seen so much less get called this year on multiple occasions. Dude was all over him. So it almost felt like the Giants were expected to win that game. And there was a lot of money on the Giants winning that game. Probably
yeah,
because
it
New
was
York is a
bad.
big market.
It
It
was
was
bad.
very
It
bad,
was bad.
very tough to see.
And I'm pretty sure the line. Let me double check this. The spread
Giants
was in the
won.
play.
Giants won by 8, but we could dissect the spread if, the Commanders would have been in danger of that, right? If it was like a, couple point spread for the
The spread
Giants and
was
it's
Washington -4.5. So
seeing a
it,
touchdown would have killed that. A
a
touchdown, like
touchdown.
whether the
No, no,
two
no,
point
because
conversion gets in
Washington
or
was
not.
no, because the Commanders were favored to win. So uh,
Oh, you're
it
saying
was
it
a
was
matter.
okay.
It was a matter
Okay.
of them getting to overtime and then scoring a touchdown that would have had them cover. So, all right, maybe the spread's done in there, but
Maybe be
look,
able to reach, but it was
it's just
also
a
fishy.
take the fishiness and the conspiracies out of it. It's just a freaking terrible call. They blew the end of the game. They blew it.
Yeah,
You don't call that
multiple
illegal
occasions.
formation. And then how do you miss that pass interference, man? That was horrible.
Yep.
Horrible. So
Very
look,
bad.
and I know I picked
Very,
the
very
Commanders,
bad.
and I felt very strongly about the Commanders winning this game. But
That's close.
uh, this is just, to me, the Giants are not a playoff team. They might make it in
Nah,
because of this game, because now they got one on the Commanders. But the Giants, here's their next three: Vikings, Colts, Eagles.
not great.
I think they win
Not
one.
great.
They either beat the
Yeah,
Vikings or the Colts, or maybe the
right.
Eagles. Maybe they beat the Eagles in Week 18 because the Eagles are resting their starters for the second half. But the reality is, I don't think the Eagles are going to do that if it means the Giants get in the playoffs because
Yeah.
it's a division matchup. And so when it comes to the Commanders or the Commies, their next three is, well, Niners, Browns, Cowboys. So maybe no one's
So
getting in.
similar. It's
So
gonna be
none of these guys are getting in. And
what I'm hearing is an open door for the Packers.
no, you're hearing an open door for the Lions, is what you're hearing, man.
We'll see.
Because
We'll see.
so let me pull up the NFC. Well, why is this sorted by division? Let me go back. Pull up the NFC. Eagles and Cowboys are in, so the Cowboys have one of those wild card spots. So there's two left for people to get. The guys in the hunt are the Seahawks. Giants are 8-5. The Commanders are 7-6-1. Seahawks are 7-7. Lions are 7-7. The Packers are 5-8. If they
Yeah,
lose
it gets
tonight,
dicey from there. Yeah,
they're loose tonight, they're done. And the Panthers, Saints, and
all at
Falcons
five
are
and
all
nine.
5-9. So if I was I am a betting man, but if I had to guess, it's probably going to be Giants and Lions.
Yeah,
That's my favorites. And the Giants, if they lose and the Packers win out, Packers'
Hmm.
schedule doesn't look enticing for that. So I really don't
I
see
don't
that
love it. Yeah.
happening. But then the Seahawks, who's their three? Well, the Seahawks got to play the Chiefs, Jets, and Rams. So I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
they might win two of those. So maybe the Seahawks do get in at 9-7. So it's a very interesting situation here. This was big for the Giants. It would have been huge for the Commanders. Might have even secured their destiny, but they're going to have the Commanders. We'll see. That we'll see how this shakes out. But the
Yeah.
Packers, they need a miracle, man. They need a miracle. So I'm not getting too excited about them until they show up tonight and beat the Rams by like 3 scores and they look amazing, right? And
I'll say I'm ready to see a miracle tonight, man. I'm
so
ready to
one game
go.
at a time for the Packers, I guess. But as for our picks to close us out, I'm right now 7-8. You are 11-4. So
Ooh,
yeah,
good
this
week.
is a good week for you. You picked up the Saints, the Jaguars on me, and the Giants and the Chargers on me, and then and the Browns as
I think even
well.
the Browns, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the Niners. But then I grabbed the Eagles and the Steelers on you to negate a little bit of that. So maybe the Rams can clutch for me tonight, but I prefer them not to. So as for the season, that brings us
That helped me,
to
man.
I'm 126-98. You're going to be 129-95. There's one extra win or one extra loss because of tonight. So the spreadsheet's
Mm-hmm.
a little jacked up. But so I'll be 126-98. You're 129-94.
5,
Uh,
4. Okay.
right now.
Total.
Right now. Could be
Yeah, at the
130 and
moment.
94. So, and then Frenzy, you got the win this week, but we had a really high scoring affair. Miles
Yes,
Sanders
that
is
is
what
interesting.
cost me. You had 163, I had 147. So Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen went for 34 and 35 respectively.
That was negated, yeah.
Yeah. Miles Sanders went for 1.9 points. So, but you had Jonathan Taylor in your flex at 2.3. So, the difference here was Josh Jacobs only went for 13. And I'm pretty sure I was thinking about Jerick McKinnon in that spot, which is very
Oh,
interesting. And really, the other difference is Hurts had 3 rushing touchdowns and Sanders had none. So that was
took away.
poor
Yeah.
poor strategy on my part. And then AJ Brown, that hedge strategy was
It
incredible.
worked.
27 points out of AJ Brown. You got 22 out of Godwin, 26 out of Derrick Henry, only 15 out of
22 out of
Eckler.
Godwin. Nice.
But then I actually got 21 out of Hill, 30 out of
Mm-hmm.
Justin Jefferson, and really where I lost was 6 out of Devontae Adams. And then I actually
Mm.
did the impossible. I outscored Travis Kelsey at tight end.
Kittle.
Kittle had
Yeah.
25 and Kelsey had 20. And then I won 9-2 with the kickers, but then the Denver defense outscored Kansas City. You guys had 12. I had 5. So I'll have the first pick again come Thursday, but that puts me at 4-7. You at 7-4. And I've got 1,619 points, and you've got 1,602. So I'm 3 games back
Wow.
and still leading the point
A
totals.
little bit. Yeah. I
Um,
got to catch that. That's my, so I can get my triple crown here. I got the
yeah,
picks. I got the record. I need to get leapfrog getting
well,
points.
I'll catch.
Record
I'm
doesn't mean a whole lot in Frenzy if I'm not really outscoring you that
Yeah.
much.
So, and I'm going to start to get a little surgical here down the stretch when it comes to the picks. So,
Okay.
um,
Okay. Looking forward
I'm
to
going to
it.
make up
Looking forward to it.
that deficit. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, NBA Tuesday. Luke will be back, talk some
Oh, yeah.
basketball, have some good old debate. Sorry again, we have a Monday episode. I was on the road all day yesterday, moving. So we'll be back Tuesday and Thursday, back at our normal schedule now through the rest of the year. And yeah, we'll be back Tuesday. You guys have any closing thoughts?
Nah, just tune into our episode tomorrow. I
It's
always
gonna be
love the
good.
NBA
Yeah,
panel. It's always
NBA
entertaining.
panel is gonna be good. We should be having a guest on pretty soon. We're waiting for Packers Vikings week 17. I think, depending on if it matters, bringing on a resident Vikings fan for some good old NFC North banter.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sure I'll be locked and loaded after their comeback this week. So it'll be some fun trash talk and some good conversation. because I know
Sure.
he's not very high on the Vikings playoff chances as well.
Interesting.
He's very
Interesting.
he's very well. What's the word? I don't know. He'll describe it in a
Oh
couple
yeah,
weeks for you guys. So
that'll be a
yeah, as
good
always,
good
DM
debate.
us on Instagram if you have any suggestions or whatnot, and we'll be back tomorrow. So peace out.
Sounds good.